Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. It is Local Chat, episode 178. I am your host, Will Crosby. Joining me this week is a man who thinks oral sex is talking about it. It's Ian Gibson.
Yeah, A-U-R-A-L. So I am technically right.
Oh, I see. And also joining us, new member of the Red Shirt Club, we've got Jake Terrio.
I have, remind me off the air, I have, on that thread, there was a hilarious bit that my roommate in college and I came up with for an album name and album art that he could use for one of his records.
Oh. We can't say it now?
Yeah, we can't.
I'm not going to describe it.
Oh, okay.
I had a good one.
Can I just say, sorry.
What would you like
I'm
to
going
say?
to interrupt your on-time joke with a non sequitur, which is, I just noticed, I know your shirt says Nostromo, Jake, but I noticed there were numbers underneath it. And immediately in my head, I said, it'd be funny if the numbers were 8675309. Because the last two numbers are 09.
I think, did Alien precede, was that Tommy Two-Tone? Jenny?
Probably, right? Because wasn't Alien like late 70s?
79, 79. Star Wars 77.
Yeah.
Raiders is 80. No, Empire's 80. Raiders is 81. Blade Runner is 82.
1981. So that would be crazy if it was that series of numbers.
It's just trying to fit as many pop culture references into a shirt as possible. Sounds like a nightmare.
It's the boot up screen. The Nostromo boot
Gundam
screen.
Oh. Yeah, from Gundam. Yeah, Ridley Scott's Gundam. Evan Gundam.
God, he'd make a good Gundam. I'm just gonna say it. He'd make a good.
He
Gundam.
would make a good Gundam, or he would make a good Gundam.
Both.
Ridley Scott, the pilot.
Both.
Oh, that's great.
I don't know. I will say that actually works because I don't know if you're aware, but Gundam has a surprising amount of like child soldiers and adults forcing children to kill other people, and I could totally see Ridley Scott like leaning into that in a way and just really making a fucked up movie.
Yeah. I would also like to say, Jake, I think Ridley Scott and Tony Scott make great spaceship names for like twin bounty hunters or something like that. Like, I feel like not that they're direct, not references to them, but like that sort of like something Scott is like a really good.
But you mean sci-fi character names, not spaceship names?
No, I mean like the name of a spaceship. Like, you know how sometimes spaceships have like the name of someone. No, not a
HMS.
Yeah.
I could see that. I could see military ship. Yes. Yeah. If you put like, okay, I could see that. What is the in Stargate? What is the military prefix they put on the Prometheus? Is it?
I don't remember.
USG?
Yeah, the Prometheus and the Daedalus. I don't think it's USG.
Is it United Earth?
I fucking love those military prefixes. I fucking love them when anything
because someone's so good coming up with them in like a room full of
HMS.
UNSC is really good. In the Alien universe, HMS 5 letters. It's like UCSCS or something.
I think is HMS Her Majesty's ship? Like, is that actually what it is?
His Majesty's ship.
Mm-hmm.
That's
depending on
fucking
the region.
Amazing. That's incredible. That's some 40K shit right there.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Anyways, that's been Ship Talk with your three sailors, Dave, Earl, and Big Todd. Moving on, folks. We're gonna take a break, and Local Chat be up next.
Yeah.
Folks, we're back here with Local Chat. I've got a little chit chat section here. Did not say talk about spaceship names. It did, in fact, say charity emails. And I only wanted to bring this up because I got a charity email from a charity, and it just starts by being like, Will, we know you are passionate and a defender of blah, 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 blah. And I just kind of like rolled my eyes because it sounded exactly like those like MAGA emails you see people post where it's like, Will, Trump needs your support right now. If you only donate $100, and I really want charities that I want to give money to email being like, hey, we kind of need money because we do charity stuff. We're just like, hey, we just we just want a little bit of money, please. And I think I'd be way more apt to give them money. I just like in general, I feel like it literally felt like I was reading AI, and I was like, what?
You may have been.
I was like, I
Probably.
feel like the most amount of people who donate to a charity are doing a one-time thing versus like it's the cause you donate to and fight for every day of your life. It just made me feel too victorious.
Service guarantees citizenship.
I gave President Trump some money, but but I just wish he was
For his legal defense fund.
No, in all honesty, it was the charity we gave to for Hogwarts Legacy, and they email me every so often. I'm like, oh yeah, I should donate to that
Hey,
again.
we're still
But-
gay. You want to give us money?
I know trans people are still getting fucked. So both in the government and in real. I mean, everyone's
bad.
getting fucked by everybody. The government, I mean.
Yeah.
So I just find it funny that I noticed it was written that way, and I was just like, if this email came in and was like,
Yeah.
hey, trans people are still getting messed up, so like if you could spend a couple bucks, I'd be like, sure thing.
Sure.
But as of now, I
gotcha.
refuse to donate.
Yeah, and in
anyway.
what 4 or 5 days, no more donations. Pride Month is over. Get out of here. You had your 30 days.
Anyways, don't email me if you're a charity. Text me, please. Picture of your feet.
You know,
moving
I do get
on.
a lot of quote unquote charity texts, but they're just various Republican organizations in Florida, like trying to shit talk non-Republican nominees in my area, and I'm like, I don't need this. Why are you guys being so like aggressive, sassy?
I
Like, they're
emailed
just-
Marco Rubio's office once, and
Oh,
now I
no.
cannot get off
Oh,
mailing this.
jeez.
Keep sending you signed cards. What a nightmare.
Marco, Lil Marco.
Lil Marco.
Well, Marco.
Polo. You should have a running mate named Polo. Marco Polo. Oh my god.
That's why he lost.
You didn't have me at the wheel
Oh God.
yelling Marco. Folks, we've been playing video games this week. Ian, you played a video game this very day, and I witnessed it. I witnessed some
That's
of
right.
it. Would you like to tell me about it?
Yeah, I'm not sure how you saw me play Civ 6 at 7 a.m. this morning, but I did. I'm still enjoying some Civ 6. What I'm trying to do is go through and get each of the victories. Not that I haven't gotten them before, but it's a nice way to like refresh myself and experience the different things in the game. So right now I'm trying to do a science victory, which if you remember in Civ 5 and Civ 6 is like the science victory is basically
Nukes.
no, it's like launch somebody to the moon, right? It's like complete the moon project or get somebody to orbit or whatever.
Wow.
But apparently in the two DLCs, the two big expansions for Civ 6, they expanded onto that. So now you have to like land people on Mars. Like the end of the science goal is like establish a Mars colony. And I was like, that's cool. So I started up a new game. I chose like a continents map, and I was like, I'm gonna be Frederick Barbarossa because he's got like apparently he has like really good production and all this stuff. And I was like, I play on the Prince difficulty a lot. Let me bump it up one. And folks, I'm getting steamrolled. It's hard. It's one of those things where I'm next to Persia and they just decided to invade me. And now, Will, tell me if this is normal, because I don't think it's normal. But
To hate Persians?
Persia, no, that's normal. Persia and I have been in a war for like 200 turns. Like they have not offered peace yet. Isn't that abnormal in a Civ game?
That seems kind of extreme, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because usually, like in the middle of that, two other people declared war on me, and they sent units. I fought off their units, and 20 turns later, they're like, "All right, let's declare peace." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." Fucking Persia is just like, "No, we are always at war." They like immediately captured my capital city. They've been sitting on it. It took me like 150 turns. I couldn't get it back, but at some point, I did enough loyalty, which I think is new in Civ 6, where you can pressure cities near you to eventually become disloyal, and it became a city state. So I had to fight my capital, my former capital, as a city state because it was hostile to me. And then eventually it came back to me this morning, 200 turns into this war, when I lost the capital city on like turn 2. And I'm just like, So anyways, I'm having fun, kind of. I'm definitely not going to win this. There's like 8 victory conditions, and I am dead last in all of them, and it's like turn 350. But I'm still having fun and enjoying it. So Civ 6, it's a great just like shit around podcast game. I'm almost completely caught up on my podcast because of this game. Well, and Satisfactory and Planet Crafter and other stuff. So it's great. The other game I have been playing is Fallout New Vegas. So Will, you were there for that stream, right?
Yeah, I caught most of it. I was back and forth doing 3D printing stuff, but I caught most of it.
Yeah. Yeah, this just, I have wanted to play. I played Fallout New Vegas when it came out. This is something we talked about on the stream, but I do think it's kind of unique the more I think about it, which is I played Fallout New Vegas. Here's what happened, right?
Okay.
Lived in Beirut. Lived in Beirut. I'm in college. I'd already played Fallout 3 like the summer before when I was home, and I liked it. And then I knew Fallout New Vegas was coming out, and I had a couple friends who were gamers, and everybody was so fucking excited for this game. Here's the problem, folks. Beirut is a third world country, right? At the time, I had an internet connection that was half a megabit, and it was metered except for 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. and on the weekends. And I had to go through a proxy to get onto the internet because I was on campus. So it was one of those things where it's like, I'm not buying this game locally because they don't sell it locally. Third world country. There's no fucking way I can download it. So me and these gamer friends were just like, we're so fucking excited for this game, but how the fuck are we going to get it? So finally somebody knew somebody who had an unmetered like 2 megabit connection.
Damn.
So what they did was they went to that person's house. They set up a laptop. The game came out. They waited like, I don't know, probably like 6 hours for the cracked torrent to hit of the game after launch. They set up a laptop. They let it download for like 2 days. They got it on an external hard drive. And over the course of like 3 days, we passed that external hard drive around like 10 of us, just being like, here's the drive, grab the game, hand it off to so-and-so. I'm like, perfect. So I finally got it, played it at launch. I'm on like a shitty netbook. So literally that entire game I played at 15 frames per second, 1024 by 768. No, 1280 by 768, because it was widescreen. It wasn't 4:3. And I really enjoyed the game. But that's the last time I touched it. And I was like, okay, that's wild. I played the game, super low frame rate, super low resolution, pre-patch Bethesda fucking game. Granted, it's Obsidian, but still, it's on a Bethesda engine. And none of the DLC. And so I've just been thinking about that where I'm like, I gotta go back. And like, Will, I know you played it last year, and I'm like, I gotta go back. Jake, I know you played it recently. I'm like, I gotta go back. And Fallout pops off, the TV show. Piece of shit, but it's Fallout, so it's got Fallout on the brain. Then we hit a point where I was like looking at our stream planner, and I was like, we got to do something, and I don't really have anything prepped ready to go in the barrel. And Will's been streaming a lot, I haven't been streaming at all, and I'm like, fuck it, Fallout New Vegas time. So I'm going to be streaming that all the way through, whole playthrough, plus the 3 DLCs every Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 2 hours, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern time. We had the first stream today. Game's fun, right? Game's fun.
It's a very good game. It's a fantastic, and plus you have all these like handy dandy mods, like that looting mod where you like it does the Fallout 4 thing where you can just look at the body and grab
that's
everything.
A mod?
Yeah. I'm like 95% sure that's a mod. And you have like you can shoot weapons with like iron sights, which seems really nice.
Yeah. Well, you could do iron sights in New Vegas. It's just they were like not accurate at all. Because remember, 3 had no iron sights. New Vegas had iron sights, but they were not accurate. This one has a mod where it makes the iron sights accurate. So I am occasionally sniping people with iron sights, which is great. I should mention I know I didn't want to play vanilla, but I also didn't want to play it with a whole bunch of crazy mods because I want to experience close to the original game. So I downloaded Viva New Vegas, which is a giant mod pack. I think it's 148 mods in it. And the way people describe it is basically it's just like a shitload of like quality of life. We fix this quest. We fix this little bug over here. We make this a little bit easier for you. and I'm really enjoying it so far. About 2 hours in. I think the thing that struck me the most is two things. Number one, the world. It's almost like Breath of the Wild in that I forget what they called it, but the concept of you can stand anywhere and look and understand where you are, and you can see 10 different interesting things that you want to go to. You're like, what's that building up there? Oh, what's that weird peak? Oh, what's that tower over there? You know, so you're constantly like not quite signposting, but you're seeing landmarks and becoming interested in them. And then the other thing is the combat. The combat is a lot better and more unique than I remember. And the reason why I say that is I feel like because they have VATS, they have this thing where they're like, it's okay for you to go through a door and there's 3 people waiting for you because we expect you to use VATS, right? And so then it's okay if you make noise because people are just going to fucking rush you and they're going to come at you with melee weapons in your face, but it's okay because you have VATS. And that just makes it really interesting because the fighting can get super chaotic at times, where you just like go through a door and there's 3 people and they turn around, they're like, the fuck are you doing here? And all of a sudden you're like, oh geez, let me throw the dynamite. And then you're like, it's nice that you can like go into the weapon switch to like super slow down time, which is basically a pause to let you switch weapons and stuff. So it's got this like, and it's got a lot of really interesting weapons. Like 2 hours into the game, I've got like the bolt action 22. I've got the 9mm, but I just got the incinerator, which is, it's kind of weird. It's not really a flamethrower, right? Like it's just throwing flame balls, like flaming balls. That's what it feels like. And then the dynamite, the sticks of dynamite are pretty cool because like I have them and the enemy has them. So they're throwing them around like crazy and I'm throwing them around like crazy. So yeah, it's just the type of game where they really embraced the world. They really built it out. They built a bunch of interesting characters, interesting story hooks, interesting, unique guns and encounters. And it just feels like a very unique, handcrafted game. And that's fantastic when you think about how many fucking AAA games that are just cookie cutter, where they're like, yep, we have a shotgun, a handgun, and an assault rifle, and you're going to go through this corridor and shoot bad guys. And then there's a car chase, and then there's credits. And it's like, I can get that anywhere, you know? So I'm super excited to play this. I have not played any of the DLCs. Should I be excited for the DLCs?
You should be excited for like 1.5 of them.
Okay, so like Fallout 3. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, they're okay. They're yeah.
I don't. It's interesting you say that because there's people who say that some of them, at least 1 or 2 of them, are fantastic.
Yeah, 1 and 2
and
of them
are the best.
are fantastic, and then the other ones are not. I can't think of. That's I just fair. Know the Sierra Madre one sucks so much, but I hate it and I want to die.
Is Humphrey Bogart in it?
That's Treasure of the Sierra Madre by John Huston, directed by
Houston
Street.
John Houston Street. Can I just say the fucking hubris to pronounce it wrong, and then to act like you're the superior one for continuing to pronounce it wrong?
It's the embodiment of the I think you should leave pushing the door the other way.
Yeah,
it is that.
Final question, Fallout New Vegas. For the DLC, I read something that said, hey, you should get to level 20, then you should think about pursuing the DLC hooks. And I think they said you don't have to do them in any order necessarily, but like it's not something you have to finish the game to get to the DLC. It's just side content. You can do it any time after level 20. Does that sound right?
Yeah. It'll tell you when you, because the one you'll probably come across is the Old World Blues, which is the giant crashed satellite at a drive-in. Mm-hmm. You'll probably come across that one, and I'm pretty sure when you click on it, it says, hey, you should be at least level blah 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 before entering this.
Okay, gotcha.
Is that the Big Empty? The Big Empty one is really good, and then I can't remember if that's my favorite, or there's a Utah one. There's a Utah one that's pretty good.
Okay.
Mormons.
Yeah, there are Mormons in it. There's Mormons in New Vegas as well. You can kill them all. In that healing fort inside Old City, Old River City, not
You're
River City,
right.
Freeside.
You're right.
Freeside. They're
Mhm.
Mormons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I must have forgotten that from my original playthrough. Yeah, so anyways, I'll be playing more of that. If you want to check it out, we've got the first episode will be up on YouTube shortly, and 5 p.m. Eastern on Friday will be the next episode of Back to New Vegas.
Heck yeah, I'll be there on the couch. Cheering. It's pretty fun to watch you play a game that you like for once.
Yeah.
Speaking of games, off the coast of Scotland, Jake, how is Still Wakes Deep?
It's interesting. It's how long was my playtime? It was only, I want to say, maybe 6 or 7 hours in total. It was not as like I think it was my first game by the Chinese Room. I don't want to remember exactly what they had developed before this, but I know I had heard people talk about them, but it wasn't any games I had played.
Machine for
so I
Pigs
wasn't.
might have been the only one you would have played if you played the Amnesia
That's-
games.
They developed that. Frictional
believe-
didn't.
I believe they did the War Machine for Pigs, the second
I'll
one.
look this up while you guys are discussing.
Thank you. So I wasn't necessarily sure what to expect in terms of like the like what kind of horror game it would be in terms of the survival horror aspects. So it wasn't as kind of scary as some of like the early reviews would have led me to believe. But certainly a very interesting story, but somewhere between like Annihilation and The Thing, in terms of like the tone and the aesthetics, especially. Some of the art direction is really, really cool. Ian looks horrified down there.
Yeah, it's a little weird. So I'm not going to read all their games. I'll read out the ones that they did, the big ones. 2008/2012's Dear Esther.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
2013's Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs.
Okay.
2015, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. 2024, Still Wakes the Deep, and 2024, Vampire the Masquerade: Bloodlines 2.
Okay. So I guess
They're
that
kind of
knowing
all over the place. Honestly.
knowing what I
Good for
know
them.
though about Dear Esther and Everybody's Gone to Rapture, I think that this kind of lines up in that it's got a very kind of thoughtful personal narrative to it. It's very much I don't know. I think personal is just kind of the right word for it. It's you're a worker, like Will said. You're an electrician on an oil rig in the North Sea,
Ooh.
and there is an ongoing labor dispute. And
With Margaret Thatcher.
it's she might have been prime minister in the time period in which it's set. I don't think they specifically say, but your wife and children are on shore, and your wife is mad at you for going out on contract on the oil rig.
God, she just doesn't get it.
You know, honestly, fuck her. All right, you got to provide for the family somehow.
No,
okay, and you get paid well.
Well, no,
Okay.
he's this is not a spoiler because it's like the very first story beat. He has gone to the oil rig in order to he assaulted someone in like a bar.
Did they
And
deserve it?
Yeah, they probably deserved
it's
it.
not clear. It seems like maybe he made a pass at the wife, and the husband then like beats him up, and the cops show up.
How good did she look?
Cuckold.
What's she asking
You
for? No, okay, this is going too far. It's going
ever
too far.
see
I
her.
apologize.
But then he leaves to the oil rig so that he won't get arrested.
Oh.
Okay.
But and then there's an ongoing labor dispute, and that very first you get like called up to the office, and while you're there, the drill hits something, dislodges something in the water, and the rig becomes infected. And then you have to try to get off the rig.
I feel like I'm fucking done with that cliche, right? Like that's just been done a lot. We found something. Oh no, it's got us all now.
I will say, I think the
How do you not find something?
the emotional narrative stuff worked
looking.
more for me than the actual horror elements of it. I thought those were
Okay.
half-baked might be a little bit harsh, but definitely not as developed as I would have liked them to be.
Underdone. Hey.
Sure.
What are you doing later?
But no, the art direction's great. The music was great. Gameplay is simple. It's on Game Pass.
Yes, I did see it was on Game Pass.
Yeah, I do like that it's on Game Pass. I will not be playing it though. It's scary.
It's not that scary.
Yeah, let me tell you
the
something.
survival horror elements. I thought like I was playing the game wrong because I kept kind of getting through every like survival encounter
on the first try,
relative ease, just by like, oh, here's an obvious hiding place they want me to go to, and just like going from hiding place to hiding place. I'm like, this can't be how I'm supposed to play this.
Yeah,
throwing something to distract, and so I was never like frightened. The atmosphere was spooky, but never really did anything happen that I was like, okay. Like I think back to when I played Dead Space 2 for the first time, like a year and a half ago, my heart was racing.
That game is
after
terrifying.
certain set pieces, and that never happened here.
I just
that's a shame.
Real talk. The older I get, I think my anxiety is getting worse and worse because I've been watching The Bear. Fantastic TV show.
Stressful.
I am struggling to watch it because it is making me way too anxious.
Yep.
And I'm just like, oh, I can't handle this. I can't handle this.
They hit you with some episodes that are nicer. I really like that show. The third season's out tonight, and I'm mad I can't be watching it right now. Have you watched season 2 yet?
No, I just finished the last episode of season 1. And I burst into tears. I started crying because it's a happy ending. The guy comes everywhere. Yeah. No, but it really is like a happy, cathartic ending.
So good.
To season 1, I'm just like on the couch. I'm just like,
and then you think back to the beginning of the first episode, and it's very good.
Yeah,
there's an episode. There's an episode in season 2 that will give you anxiety, but it is such a good episode.
So the thing is, I think I know what you're talking about because Maggie already watched the show, and I'm pretty sure I had anxiety listening to an episode in season 2, which I think I know. It's a family dinner, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's
and I was listening in the other room, just being like, "Oh, things are really intense over there. I don't know what's happening, but I can't go in the living room right now."
Good. So that kind of anxiety hits me when it's reality TV. It hits me in a way with TV shows, especially. I can at least be like, okay, this isn't real. Like this isn't actually like these are actors, and like reminding myself of that. That actually helps me get through scary movies very easily. Now it sounds like the stupidest thing ever, but I like try to look at the CGI or like remember that sort of stuff, and it genuinely helps with that. But
so like scary movies, to continue down this thread, it's scary movies. It's not necessarily that they make me feel scared. It's the problem is good scary movies like Midsommar, fantastic movie. I really enjoyed watching that, but also 2 minutes in, I'm immediately already like super stressed out and anxious because I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? What the fuck, And then the problem that I have with horror games, the reason why I don't do Spooky Pixel anymore, is because it's 10 times worse because I am in control.
You're participating.
And I literally had to stop doing Spooky Pixel because I was getting multiple panic attacks every fucking episode. And I was just like, I can't do this to myself anymore. And that's why I don't play scary games, even remotely scary games at all, because they just give me constant panic attacks.
Yeah. I think, it's funny you mentioned, because I feel like with TV shows and movies and video games, being in control is what makes me enjoy them, because I can control the stress feeling, the scared feeling, and I can always either pause and exit the game or pause a movie, pause a TV show. Jake's very happy about clapping.
There's a fly in here.
I know, don't worry.
Not anymore.
I know, sure there is, bud. So like that helps me with that sort of feeling. But I understand that you're a baby, and so no, I completely understand your side of it.
I was thinking the other day about that Extra Life. I think it was the second Extra Life we did where we hit the unlock that I had to play Phasmophobia in VR. and everybody understandably got really upset with me because I like I played 2 levels. The first level, I walked into the house and I ended up in the basement and I just stayed there for 20 minutes.
Rebooted.
I just like, I couldn't even look up because at some point I looked up and a fucking ghost child ran past and I was like, I can't handle it. So then I'm like, okay, let me go to the second level. The second level, I couldn't even step foot in the house. It was fucking terrifying. Couldn't handle it.
It was bad. It was so funny. Yeah, that's great. I'm really excited for Spooky Pixel this year because Ian won't be part of it. Actually, we should come up with some sort of way that you can be part of it, whether it's just you playing a different game on camera and just smiling.
What if we do one of like the asymmetric ones where he can be the monster?
Yeah,
that's
we'll
true.
play Evolve. Y'all remember Evolve?
Or it could just be as simple as you don't know what the game is. I work with whoever's playing. We get the game installed on their machine somehow. They don't know what it is, and we start the episode. I'm like the spooky person that calls in. I'm just like, hey, got a mission for you. You gotta go to Silent Hill twice, not the second Silent Hill. You gotta go there. So
they keep calling me. Yeah, we'll think of something for sure. Well, that's great. I'm happy about. That's all you had to say about Still Wakes the Deep?
Yeah.
Great, awesome, succinct. Betty Boop agrees. I think I'm gonna go back workshop that charity emails bit, and let's take it from the top. Is that
okay?
Okay.
I have been playing Warcraft 3, of course, fantastic video game. It's just
one of the RTS ones, right?
Yes, one of the RTS ones. It is the progenitor of MOBAs, Dota and League of Legends, and all that sort of stuff.
It has hero elements, right?
Yes.
Where you have like hero units that you level up as well.
You have like hero characters in all the campaign missions and multiplayer as well, and then those heroes have specific abilities mapped to them and all that sort of stuff. So I've been going through the campaign. I beat the human campaign, and now I'm on the undead campaign. And I was just like, oh, okay, they're gonna do 4 of these campaigns because I looked it up in the base game. We'll go through those, but like the first campaign in the undead mission is like a sneaking mission. You have to since you're the undead, you have this unit, this lone wolf unit that is invisible to enemies, but it can't attack or anything. So you can just I have to go around this village and find the acolytes and then watch the guards and get my hero character to the acolytes to turn them into minions without the guards seeing and killing my hero character. And it's just really, these campaign missions are really neat because it's really playing around with here's just a straight build up your base, go kill the enemy mission. But then there's another mission that's let's just you're just gonna have a one-on-one with one character, or you're murdering all the citizens in this city to prevent them from turning to zombies, and you have to murder citizens while the other guy is turning them into zombies. So it's really fun. It's a great game.
I love RTSs that do unique missions like World in Conflict, which was basically the whole premise was it's the 80s. Russia does a surprise invasion of the state of Washington in the US. So all of a sudden it's Cold War goes hot in the Pacific Northwest. They have a really cool mission where the end of one mission is probably halfway through the game, and the end of one mission is basically you're losing a battle and you get a command comes in and they're just we just got word from the White House, tactical nukes are authorized, and you have to drop you end the mission by dropping tactical nukes on the battlefield.
There's the giant Mansley.
And then the next mission starts with you have 2 half health APCs after the nukes fall, and you're just okay, let's wander around. Let's try and find some friendlies that are still alive in this area after we drop the nukes. And then you're you're slowly rebuilding and rehealing with limited resources. I love RTS missions that have a unique premise, but also pull them off, because that's the difficult part. You don't want a shitty escort mission or something like that.
Yeah. And it's great. The game works great. I mean, I was going to say it's nice that there's discs, ISO images available on archive.org for games. I was gonna say there's plenty of games that you could go ahead and go play, but also until Warcraft 3 getting emotional. Until Warcraft 3 Reforged, they were updating. Blizzard was updating Warcraft 3 all the way up to Windows 10. So like they also really had a hand in keeping that game alive for the community. But yeah, it's fun. Warcraft 3. I've also been playing Elden Ring. I booted up Elden Ring, purchased the DLC. Shut the fuck up.
Have you beaten it yet? The DLC, have you beaten it?
So I booted up the game and I loaded in and I went, oh, I really hope to dear sweet baby Jesus in that little manger that I did not start a new game plus on this character, because that would suck and I would be angry. And so I loaded it up and I said, oh, I did start a new game plus, and I'm like an hour into it.
Had you beaten the necessary bosses prior to that?
No, not at all. I had just done Mistborn stuff. But here's the other thing. I can't go to the DLC in New Game Plus because the DLC will be like twice as hard. I forget what the scaling is for New Game Plus. So I started a new game of Elden Ring.
Wait, don't you have... I know you have an Xbox copy. Don't you have a PC copy as well?
Yes, I also have a PC copy, but I don't feel like playing on PC. Why don't you
just... No, but just grab a save. Grab like a save for somebody or a mod that lets you, skip ahead to DLC with a character build.
Oh yeah, if I could, I would. But I'm playing on Xbox. So I started the game over, and I'm at the DLC spot. I just have to fight Moog now. There's like a really fast track to get to the DLC. And then I found some good rune farming spots. And also all the bosses, I've either been summoning people for help or not cheesing them, but just being like making sure I'm a little leveled to fight them, or remembering stats and looking things up. Because I'm like, hey, I already beat this game. I raw dogged this game. This game's done. And now I can look up the sex tips so I can pleasure this game.
Did you beat Elden Ring? I feel like that was one of the games where you got all the way to the end and then you stopped.
Yes, I got all the way to the end and then I stopped, and then Jake beat it, and then the next day I just went and beat it.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I just had the Elden Beast left, so it was pretty easy. But yeah, so I've been cruising through the game. The game's still fantastic. It's been just enough time that I've forgotten a bunch of stuff, or like things are like vague hints. I'm like, oh yeah, I think I remember what's up here, and then I'm like wrong, and it kills me, or something stupid like that. I'm also looked up different builds, so I'm playing as a completely different build as I played when I first beat the game. I was a big, strong two-hander iron ball guy who could just do whatever with the giant Game of Thrones sword, and now I'm a astrologer. I have a rapier, the Estoc, so I'm like doing little stabby stabs and then sending magic out. But then I never have I ever used magic buffs in Elden Ring or Dark Souls or anything, but I'm using the add magic damage to my sword and use that, and all that sort of stuff. So it's been really fun. There's just a feeling of when you've beaten a game once, you're like, oh, I can look up secrets online and like try to actually get good at it now, rather than being afraid you'll accidentally discover something. So I was watching a couple Elden Ring what not to do from previous Souls games, and a big thing in Elden Ring is you can jump over most attacks instead of rolling through them. You have a longer, so you don't have immunity frames during jumping, but from your stomach down is no hitbox, and it lasts for a full second, so you can be really delayed on it. And they were just showing a bunch of bosses that you can just, I remember all these attacks rolling out of the way, getting hit by AoEs, and he's just hopping quick and dodging it. And I'm like, I can't wait to throw that in the mix.
Do a jump build.
Exactly. So I've been playing that. I'm maybe 10 hours in, and I've just been playing 1 or 2 hours a day, killing things, trying to discover new things, and get to that DLC. I just have to kill Moog now, which I could just summon people to help me and kill him.
You beat Radon? I think. Do you have to beat Radon to get to Moog?
You do not. You just have to do the white masked Vara quest. And he gives you a thing that sends you to Moog's palace.
Scrap of bloody paper.
Yeah, so I only had to kill Godric. Which the Godric one was, I kept summoning people to help with Godric, and they kept dying. And so finally, I did the last time. I had 2 people, and they died when Godric had like a third of his health still, and I had to try to be good at the game, and I finally beat him
for a third of the boss fight.
And it was really annoying. Well, I mean, I was fighting during the first 2/3 as well.
Oh,
but
sure.
I had other people there to distract the boss.
Cut to gameplay. You're in the background swinging at nothing, and the 2 guys are up next to the boss.
Actually, that happens sometimes where since I'm using like the glintstone pebbles and stuff, sometimes those like animate all the way to the boss, but they don't hit the enemy.
Yeah.
And so you have to make sure every so often to look at the damage to make sure you're actually hitting and you're close enough. Because there's been a few times I'm like, I just wasted like an entire flask of not hitting the boss because I'm just a little bit too far away.
Yeah.
It's a fun game. It's still really good, and I like playing it.
I'm excited to sit down with the DLC because I think I did my New Game Plus, and I think I got to the Elden Beast, and then I just went around and started exploring stuff. So I think I could boot up the DLC.
Yeah, you could. It'll just be very difficult.
No, I know. I've heard the scaling. There's different scaling, like different things for you to collect that aren't runes that are like the different level scaling. I've also heard people saying like Miyazaki just lied when he's like, "Oh, it's about the size of Limgrave," and I guess it's way bigger. Just like way more game than he said was there.
Yeah, I saw that, and I'm really excited to play it. But I have to beat the other game. Well, thankfully I don't have to beat the other game. Just have to beat Moog, and then I can get over there and see what's up.
It's but yeah. I'm curious to hear y'all's takes, because the big community reaction has basically been people saying, why did they make this DLC so hard? It's too hard. To the extent that they released a patch yesterday that reduced the difficulty in the first half of the DLC.
I have a theory that because Elden Ring kind of more so than some of FromSoft's other games kind of achieved a more mainstream popularity, that not to suddenly become one of the get good people.
Yeah.
But that because it's got a much broader audience, I think there are a lot of people who just, this game isn't really for them. And they realized that upon getting to the DLC.
Yeah.
But they cheese their way through the main game.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even think they cheese their way through the main game. I just think they're not like the DLC is more story content, and you want that story content to be difficult because that's what all the DLCs for previous From Software games is. So I think the person who beat Elden Ring expected the DLC to, since it takes place a little bit in the middle, be easier than the end game, you know. And I think it's not quite. Yeah. It's a continuation.
It's just funny because that fan base is rabid about, there are no valid criticisms, you are just not good enough at the game. And then the DLC comes out and that same fan base says, wait, why is this DLC too hard? And it's like, you can't have it both ways, folks. You can't have it both ways.
Posers.
You know, you can't have it both ways.
Big old posers.
Living amongst the normies.
Ugh, they're disgusting. They disgust me. Ian, no, there's the joke. It flew away. Getting news disgusts me. I don't know. Stop yawning. Tell me about the news, please. 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 You said you would.
Yeah.
You said you would.
I'm doing it. I'm going to do it.
Please.
Let's talk about the game news. There is a news piece that came out. This is not necessarily news. It was announced, but I forgot it. And reading it again, I am suddenly excited. Do you guys remember that Bit Reactor is working on a Star Wars tactical strategy game? And if you remember, Bit Reactor is from XCOM veterans. Do you guys remember that piece of news?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll play it.
There was an article in PC Gamer where they had some interviews with the folks at Bit Reactor, and they don't explicitly say it, but they say, yes, we're using a lot of our XCOM experience to make a Star Wars tactical strategy game, and this sure sounds like Star Wars XCOM, and I'm pretty excited for it. What do you guys want to see in this game?
Luke Skywalker. And Tatooine.
Okay, fuck you. All right.
I mean, I guess that is a little bit of what time period it's set in would determine kind of maybe the kinds of narrative threads and gameplay. But yeah, I have been itching to sink my teeth into another robust tactics game. And me likey Star Wars.
Yeah, I
In
think that's the key
spite of
thing.
everything.
Yeah, I just want them to make a solid turn-based tactics game. They've done it before. I'm not a big XCOM fan, but I can recognize that they did make a good game there that a lot of people like. I think they just really need to make that with a solid Star Wars skin on top of it. I do think I don't know that these are the veterans who also worked on Midnight Sun. I do think they need to be wary of the idea of we have to do something different for the sake of doing something different, which kind of led Midnight Suns down the wrong path, where they basically got rid of customization and introduced a card mechanics, which was kind of largely panned. I hope they just kind of stick to the basics of tactical turn-based games. They know how to do it well, and just do that in Star Wars. You know
I
what I mean?
don't want it to be hero based like Midnight Suns, though. Like Will
Yeah.
made a joke about Luke Skywalker.
Oh no, I do
Don't
not
want that.
I like my ideal when you first think of this is like an Imperial hit squad
Yes.
would be fun to
Republic
play as.
Commando, but tactics.
A rebel hit squad of the same fashion, or like a group of bounty hunters or mercenaries.
I think it's got to be stormtroopers though, because that's the thing that XCOM does, is that sure, you have troops that you name and you get attached to, but there's also an endless supply of them, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing about stormtroopers, is that you should be able to quote unquote
Or
name
if they
them.
do, like, I know the Clone Wars era has been done to death at this point, but
In my head, I'm thinking about it like they're still stormtroopers, so you don't get to name them. You get to pick their tag, like their number, and you become attached to the number. But if they die, there's another stormtrooper in their place, right? Like I think it's got to be stormtroopers.
on that same vein, I would love if it were like the Separatist army, and you just get a bunch of quirky droids.
Yes,
I would love
that
that.
would be.
I'm trying to think,
they're gonna
like,
do
would
rebels, though? They're gonna
would
do
they-
fucking
yeah.
rebels,
Because
though.
would they base an entire game about you being the bad guy? Like that's the only.
Yes,
And I'm sick
they
of
should.
the like you're playing as the bad guys
They're not
and then
the bad guys.
you turn to the good side at the end. I hate
Yeah,
when they
fuck
do that.
that.
I just want to be evil stormtrooper hit squads and kill Mon Mothma and people of her disgusting. ilk.
I don't know that Disney would allow that, because I think about the rumor. I don't know if this is true or not, where they say Apple will allow their devices in movies and TV shows, but they don't allow villains to use their products. So if you see somebody with an Apple iPad and it has an Apple logo on it, you know they're not the villain, because Apple won't sign off on the product placement otherwise. And I think it feels like Disney Star Wars is kind of the same way, where they're like, no, you can't sympathize with the bad guys too much. No, you can't really go into the dark topics too much. Andor gets close. Andor's got some stuff, but when I think about, would they allow you to have a video game where you play a stormtrooper, a squad of stormtroopers, and you're hunting down the rebellion, and you never turn to the good side?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that they would allow that.
Yeah, I guess because like Battlefront 2, the Battlefront 2 campaign got close, but there's the turn then where they are part of the rebellion later.
Yeah.
I think what this is gonna end up being is it'll be based on the next movie, and it'll be Rey and her Jedi people that she's raising, and it'll be terrible and awful.
It'll be hero turn based.
So, yeah, it'll be hero card based. It'll be index card based. You have to buy all the
Dewey
cards
Decimal.
though. It's a free to play micro
It's a
card.
DLC.
Yeah, and Dewey Decimal
damn it.
DLC.
I fucking hate how right you could be. God damn it.
And it's mobile only.
Anyways,
it's actually no, it's iPad only.
it's iPad only. Let's talk about the surprise announcement today. Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. Capcom has announced a remaster for Dead Rising. They had a little teaser trailer. It definitely is using updated graphics. We still don't know what remaster means. Are you guys excited about this?
Very.
I never played Dead Rising, so this doesn't really mean anything to me. But if it gets reviewed well, I'll play it.
Dead Rising rules. Dead Rising 3 is probably my favorite. But I played a shit ton of this game as a kid at my friend's house. We got the Mega Man Buster. It is a fantastic video game.
Yeah, I remember buying it at launch, and I wasn't a huge fan of it, but it was because at that time I was not used to console games yet. So like controller plus some of the weird quirks the original game has, like with the save system and everything, I wasn't a big fan of. Yeah, time-based. So I'm excited for them to basically take that system, add a shitload of quality of life perks on it, and what looks like a brand new graphical engine, at least for the cutscenes. We're not sure what the gameplay is going to look like yet, and this could be really cool.
It's also like that original game, like I know we talked about this, and like if they're just updating the graphics, I mean that original game is so weird. Like it's time-based. You're expected to do multiple like runs of the time to like discover different things. So it'll be really interesting if they stick with that or they like change it up and make it more of like a modern sort of open mall sort of system. It'll be weird to see.
I wish they would, because one of the things the original game did great was for the tech at the time, it was a lot of enemies on screen and you're going through waves of them. Nowadays, you look back and you're like, okay, that's not a lot going on the screen. I want them to do, if you remember Days Gone, the biker zombie game, one of the few things they did really well was having a huge horde of enemies on the screen. And I want them to do that in the original Dead Rising.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see like 1,000 zombies in the mall that you've got to constantly plow through, etc.
And I'm perfectly fine with that. I think a game that runs on the current generation of consoles doesn't necessarily need a remaster, like a graphical remaster. Like Dead Rising 1, you can play on an Xbox Series X perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Runs great.
Yeah.
Looks great. I mean, the textures might be the only thing. But at that point, just put out a 4K patch.
But they probably already have done a 4K patch, because they did that at a shitload with a lot of those back compat games.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Know?
It's like great. So, because I was about to say I wish remasters would come out and it'd be like, oh, here's the remastered version, remake version, where we're updating everything. It's a modern video game, and here's the separate executable for the original game with great 4K textures. And then I was like, oh wait, this game does already run on Series X. So
yeah, because
we've
we've had that spicy argument before, which is what's the difference between a remake, a remaster, a reboot, and a port? And at the end of the day, the problem is not us failing to define it. It's that the industry keeps misusing those terms, whatever they think is the best buzzword for that moment. And at the end of the day, what I really want is I want the Dead Rising experience, but I want it to feel like a brand new game. And that means you're probably going to have to make a decent amount of changes here, more than just a port, more than just graphical updates.
Yeah, I agree. I think the shining example of a remake is Final Fantasy VII. It's a completely different game. It is. Not completely, but
I don't want to get into the definition debate here, but in my mind, that's not a remake. That's a reboot, because they changed a fuckload.
Yeah,
and at that
I would
point,
call it a
it's
reboot.
like a complete reimagining.
Yeah,
you know,
I would call that a reboot if they called it Final Fantasy, or a different name. But it is clearly
they called it Final Fantasy VII. You know. Right. Anyways, we're not getting into that debate. Because that's a whole separate stream idea. At some point when we run out of ideas, we will sit down and pull out an Excel sheet and we will create a matrix of what a reboot, remake, remaster,
I mean,
re-release port.
To me, there is no reboot of a video game. It is only remake.
I know I always bring this up, but John Carpenter said Dead Space was a rebuild.
No,
refurbished. We should add that, because that is valid. Like, what is it? I think anything with a 4K texture pack and that is a refurbish.
Refurbish.
I hate it.
Yeah,
I hate it.
So, anyways, let's move on to the culture news, guys. Turns out we now know how a lot of those Nintendo Direct leaks were coming out. Long story short, Jason Schreier talked to somebody who was getting a lot of those leaks, and they revealed that their source was somebody who works inside Nintendo and was essentially able to view upcoming versions of the Nintendo website before they were published. So a Nintendo Direct, for example, comes out next week. So in the back end in Nintendo, they go ahead and prep the store website with all the new pre-orders of the newly announced games. The website's not live yet, but if you have credentials to view the preview version of the website in whatever source control system they're using or publishing system, you can see what games are going to be announced. And then you can tell your favorite leaker on Twitter, and then they can announce it. There is a bit of a sad story here, which is essentially the Pioro, who was the person on Twitter who was leaking a lot of this. They talked to Jason Schreier. The article came out, and then Pioro was like, "Oh fuck! I didn't realize they were going to say exactly how I get my information." And then I believe they deleted their Twitter. And then this was not confirmed, but people were finding job postings at Nintendo that recently went up for new network engineers, etc., with the assumption that they found whoever was leaking and fired them.
House.
Yeah, but this is pretty crazy, right? This whole leak ecosystem that has developed.
Well, there was, I think, a story a couple of weeks ago that came out that there were employees at YouTube and Google who were viewing like the scheduled videos of like upcoming like game announcement streams. They could, through whatever admin privileges, they were able to see like unlisted and privated videos.
Jeez.
And then we're like, oh, here's all the games, I guess, that are getting announced. And they were leaking those to people.
That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, it's this is one of my favorite genre of news stories because there's always going to be leaks. And I love the evolution of, first of all, we had no leaks. Then we had some leaks. Then we had, there's too many leaks, so now the direct and press conference is ruined. And now we're into the fourth phase, which is now we're having leaks about how the leaks are happening, right? And we're like getting a behind the scenes look. And I'm hoping that kind of is a cycle so that we get back to complete surprises. There's no leaks, because that's my preferred method, honestly.
I don't know. Maybe I'm built different. I've never understood the desire the desire to know leaks, or necessarily even the desire to leak them. Because I'm like, is there a monetary benefit? Is it just the fact that you're like, you have information that no one else has, and it's that
like
allure?
1000%.
Yes. 1000%.
That's stupid to me.
Yeah.
As someone who used to know things like a week ahead of things,
That's a weak mindset.
And would leak them.
and would leak them.
And I would also leak stuff. It's like, I can keep a secret that is serious, but if I'm like, guys, I know something about this video game, I gotta tell you, that's cool. That's a show off moment. It's understandable.
Listen, I had to endure 2 weeks of not telling anyone Starfield's bad.
I do remember.
I'm so sorry.
You're wringing your hands every time we brought it up.
Oh, I could have warned you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Before I played 100 hours of it.
That's your own fucking fault, okay? Because I think I played 15
needed to
and I was
know.
done.
I needed to peel back every layer.
No.
To desperately try to understand it.
15 hours in, baby. You're at
I
every
needed
layer.
to get to the root of it. I needed to cut to the heart of Starfield.
You could
dissect
it could be worse. You could be Greg Miller and still be delusionally playing it like 10 new game pluses in for some reason.
I don't want to be mean, but the more I see of that man, the more I'm convinced he's an idiot. He's an idiot or just a shill. It's one or the other, and I don't know which is worse.
Having met the man, both on stage and in a medical situation, I guess is the best way to put it. I think it's like a Dan Reichert situation where he's always on camera and on Twitter and he's like, obviously he plays it up, but it's I think the internet Greg Miller is an idiot. I will be
that's fair.
Clear about that.
That's fair.
Just like
as somebody who
internet
also
Ian
plays
a racist.
Is a racist. Yes, yeah. I'm a racist libertarian, card carrying. Anyways, this is a little bit of a segment here, but apparently during the Capcom shareholder meeting, it was revealed that they still make money from the Street Fighter movie. Sorry, I'm trying to find the exact quote here. It continues to make tens of millions of yen each year, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars, roughly. Isn't that wild that they're
Are
making
people-
hundreds of thousands of dollars from a Street Fighter movie from
That
94?
does seem high. Like, I don't know, of course, like what sort of money is coming in from streaming. That's not to say like digital rentals as another thing, but like
but like
streaming.
licensing.
Yeah, like I don't. Who knows how much money that is?
There
Are people like? Is this going back to like weirdo art house theaters for a couple weekends every year? Is
no,
it
but-
DVD sales? I don't.
But that
seems
doesn't-
high.
Does Weirdo Art House money make it back to the studio? Because I thought they just pass around 35 mil prints.
I mean, I would be talking about ones where somebody is like an official screening, I guess.
like
Oh,
a Ghibli
yeah,
Fest
gotcha.
type thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Fathom
not
event.
like you're talking about. Certainly, there's so many movies that get shown around because somebody's just like, oh, I've got a print, but
Yeah.
no, but hundreds of thousands of dollars seems very high.
It's probably rentals and then, like you said, licensing to various platforms.
Or
Part of
if
me-
I'm like, I can't imagine it's still being printed on like DVD and Blu-ray, but maybe it is.
They got boxes of them. I was thinking maybe there's some like we should look it up. There's probably some Street Fighter license to something in like the 90s when it came out, right? 94. And it's like a ticket item on like some big company, and they just pay it every year, and like nobody has brought it up. It just keeps getting paid. It's like a subsidiary of a subsidiary, and it just like they're like, oh yeah, this check goes to Capcom for something, and that's where they're making all the money.
That's okay. I thought you were going in a different direction where it's like
Not a bad theory.
where it's like some Billboard chart topper sampled the Street Fighter, and so there's a little bit of
Oh, that
royalty
too.
that trickles down in
see
some
that.
way. You know, maybe the soundtrack had some surprise banger song that still gets plays today.
Or there's like 10 seconds of it in like a Watch Mojo top 10 video game movies that Capcom has claimed, and that ad
Yes.
revenue is just stacking
Actually,
up.
it's probably a good chunk of YouTube ad revenue from Acclaim. That's a good point.
Have y'all ever seen this movie?
No.
I want to watch it.
I've
I
never
do want
seen
to
it
watch
either.
it.
We should watch it.
It's crazy.
I like Mortal
the main
Kombat.
thing I know. Yeah, the main thing I know about it is that it has Jean-Claude Van Damme, it has Kylie Minogue, and they were fucking on set when this movie was made. That's the big
set?
thing. On set, that they were just
I heard
like
Scent.
like Kylie Minogue is always like, oh, you know, and then Jean-Claude Van Damme is like, no, we were fucking constantly during this movie.
I only know what's his face played M. Bison because his grandkids.
Yes.
He wanted to be in a movie before he died that his like would excite and be happy for his grandkids. And then he was in
every
this
clip
piece
I
of
see.
shit. No, I'm kidding.
Every clip I see makes it seem wild in a way that like the Mortal Kombat movies. Like they're not good movies, but they're wild in a way that you have to see them.
Yeah, they're great. I love them. Also, other thing, I would love to own a movie film, 35 millimeter film print. So, if anyone out there's got one, yeah, just send one film print to me, please. Care of
It's probably
Ricardi,
it's
1600
got to be
pen.
cheap on. It's got to be cheap on eBay, right?
I bet
You
No.
got to be able to find some.
I'm not sure. I don't know
You
about
can- you can
Nothing.
I know you can get trailers, 35 millimeter trailers on eBay for fairly cheap, because I remember looking those up. But listen, I've gone far back to VHS. I'm not going further back to 35 millimeter prints, unless I can get them of movies I like. And most movies I like.
I have Star
expensive.
Wars vintage 1977 35 millimeter film reel, 1AB original movie, not the trailer. $1,000.
I'll split it with you.
By now, so you could probably get all of Star Wars for a couple thou.
I should look up if they have.
Boots in the Preacher 35 millimeter, $35.
Ooh, I love Boots and the Preacher. I should see if they have like The Train or something like that. But that's probably too old.
That's
The
kinda-
Lumiere brothers.
Yeah, we should get a who's the silent film guy from Hugo.
Charlie Chaplin or Buster Keaton?
No, from the French guy who did the Moon Man.
Oh, he just
Oh,
didn't you
from
just
the
say
Earth
it?
to the Moon. I don't remember.
Did you just say it, Jake?
No, it's
I don't think it's a Lumiere. I don't think that's a Lumiere Brothers joint.
No. It's God, the movie Hugo with Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yves Guillemot.
Yes, Guillermo del Toro. Yves Guillermo del Toro made a movie.
Wasn't Hugo Martin Scorsese?
Yes.
Yeah, but it had Sacha Baron Cohen.
It's not French.
The movie.
Anyways, folks, moving on. We've got some business news. Hey, guess what? The Genshin Impact developers have built the first non-state-owned nuclear fusion reactor.
Sorry, this is a total non sequitur, but I discovered that Rolls-Royce is also working on a micro-nuclear reactor.
Yes. That kind of makes sense because they do make engines. They make a lot of jet engines.
It could be like but this is also crazy.
Is the name.
Yeah, I did a little bit of research into this, and basically they haven't explained why, but in 2022, alongside another car manufacturer, they invested $55 million into this startup that was making a nuclear fusion reactor.
To run the
and they're now successful. I don't know why game developers doing this though. Like, do you guys remember when Riot made their own like ISP, their own like internet backbone?
I don't remember that. That sounds crazy.
They did it because they had so many people playing League of Legends, and lag and latency was such an issue that they were like, hey, what if we just build our own internet backbone? Like, we just build our own dedicated servers and a lot of different ISPs to create an isolated network in a way. Not fully isolated, but enough that we can reduce the latency and fully control the network path for all the League players in a given region.
Wow.
And they did it. And that is wild, but it at least makes sense to me in a way. I don't understand why a game developer is getting into fusion reactors unless they're looking for power for AI compute. Fuck. I think we just figured it out.
Or
gonna make
because the console wars are ratcheting up.
Yeah.
It's all talk.
Yeah. If you thought Nagasaki was bad, just wait until they deploy a fusion reactor on Redmond. Get rid of Xbox. Wipe them off the board.
Wouldn't that get rid of Xbox and or where's Valve? They're in
Seattle.
Bellevue, I thought.
Yeah, they're in Seattle. Yeah.
And Nintendo of
With
America,
Bungie.
but that's okay.
Yeah, we don't care about America.
Hey, I have some surprising news. Look, I need you guys to sit down. This is going to be shocking, but apparently those Assassin's Creed, Resident Evil, and Death Stranding ports on the iPhone have failed. There's apparently less than 3,000 people that have paid $50 to play Assassin's Creed Mirage on the iPhone since it launched a month and a half ago.
It's $18,000.
$50.
$180,000.
No,
18.
I've been drinking. I can't do math.
I can't imagine trying to play Death Stranding on this.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, sure, it works, but it wasn't a problem of hardware.
Cost?
It was a problem of format, right? Like, it's not the right fucking format to play the game.
Like Death Stranding, you're using like most of your digits.
Yes.
Is it all just on the screen?
Yes.
I think it is.
Did you see the picture of Resident Evil 7 I
connect a
posted a while ago?
Yes, I said Resident Evil 7 UI looks bonkers.
Yeah, you can connect a controller to iPhones now, so
there
is at least that option.
I'm not like propping this on my bedside table with a controller to play Death Stranding.
Exactly. Even on an iPad, which has a bigger screen, it's still just, I don't want to have to cart around an iPad and a controller and then, like you said, prop it up. It's just...
And then have to admit to Hideo Kojima when I meet him that I played Death Stranding on an iPhone.
Honestly,
if you had an
iPad
Tenet on a plane,
if you had an iPad in Beirut instead of that shitty laptop, you'd play Death Stranding on it.
Yeah. But I was silent.
Poor. I know.
At that level of poverty, I should not have even had an iPad because it would have been too much money.
I'm just saying you would have played it.
Yeah, actually, that's the thing that fucking pisses me off, right? So these games, they're not playing on all iPhones, right? They're playing on the top tier of iPhones, which are costing what, $1,000 or more minimum?
2 to 3 times as much as a console,
Steam Deck.
next gen
It's a
console.
fucking
Yeah,
Steam Deck. Like, just buy a fucking Steam Deck. There you go. There's your solution. Steam Decks, folks, refurbished. They're on sale right now for $300 fucking dollars for a base refurbished Steam Deck. It's one of those things where it's like you spend a shitload of money on some tech gadget, and I'm not saying it's not worth it, but then you're trying to justify the purchase by shoehorning a lot of shitty other use cases into it and saying, look, my phone's so cool, it can do this thing that cheaper things can do, but worse. And it's like, no. You don't need to do that to justify it. Like, you've got $1,000 device. That's fine. It's doing a lot of cool things, but justifying that by running something shittier on it that it's not meant to do, it's not worth it. It's not worth it, folks.
It's not worth it.
Anyways. Speaking of not worth it, hey, we need to talk about, you guys have to stop messaging minors on Twitch Whispers.
Have you
It's not a
seen the
joking
clip?
matter.
Have you seen the clip though of him presumably reading the message that says the game studio is dropping him, and he's playing
While
Elden Ring,
is
and
playing.
just the
Yeah.
ominous music that's playing as he's like staring off camera?
Yeah.
It's so
I
So
need to watch
anyways,
that.
this is from GameSpot. This is about Dr. Disrespect. Quote, according to a new report, Beam's ban was allegedly the result of him texting a minor through Twitch's now defunct Whispers messaging system and offering to meet up with them at TwitchCon. I don't want to fully go through this, but he was then dropped by the game studio he co-founded, Midnight Society. He's been dropped by a lot of his friends, partners, business sponsorships. He also had, I unfortunately I don't have it here, but he had a response where he verified that he did send messages to an individual minor, some of which were in an inappropriate direction.
Yeah,
I believe is
I
the
read
quote.
the unedited, the first draft, and yeah, it's like, okay, buddy.
You know, this is one of those things where I did not want to talk about it because it's fucking Twitch drama that is just not worth talking about. But it does touch on some important things, which is the influencer culture that we are unfortunately part of as influencers. There's 3 people we influence.
Get
It's
influenced.
Drake, Halucha, and Sibilla. And
I'm gonna activate them soon.
yeah, we're gonna activate them soon. Election day's coming. Y'all are gonna vote for Trump. You don't know it yet, but you're gonna.
Got the trigger
What a
phrase. Do you know what word it is?
fucking
Ian?
scheme. Skibbity. But anyways, this is like it is the downside to this influencer culture, is that we have, unfortunately, through Twitch and YouTube and TikTok, we have taken individuals who are normal fucking people with all the normal flaws and none of the media or publicity or common sense training, and turn them into overnight celebrities that are easily accessible and can easily access their fan base and exploit them. And that's what happened here. And it's fucked up. And that's not to excuse the behavior. It's to say we should all be on the lookout for fucking predatory behavior like this, because unfortunately, the gaming influencer industry we all live in makes it easy for this shit to happen.
Yep.
Was there ever, I guess in this whole story, I never really determined if there was like a clear reason why it came out now. Somebody had said that it might have been because after 4 years, it's like a common expiry for some NDAs.
Yeah, so that was not confirmed, but essentially there were comments released on Twitter from Cody Connors, who's a former Twitch employee who worked in the company's strategic partnerships team. They're the one who posted in the clear on Twitch, quote, he got banned because he got caught sexting a minor in the then existing Twitch Whispers product. He was trying to meet up with her at TwitchCon. The powers that B could read in plain text, case closed, gang, end quote. And that was basically enough in the clear of a source to then open the floodgates from all sorts of journalists who had other anonymous sources to then come out and say, I've heard the same thing from 3 or 4 people, etc.
I understood people being like, hey, we shouldn't immediately believe this Cody guy, or like saying like you didn't see it and everything, and it's like, okay, yeah, doubt and all this sort of stuff, and that, but when the man says it himself that he did it,
and he like he already had like he was in hot water for live streaming from like the men's bathroom at Twitch.
And it's the same year that he admitted on stream that he cheated on his wife.
Yeah, it's a lot of just
to take
like
a break.
It's just like it's not that hard to believe, and I feel like most of those people who are still trying to defend him somehow in their brains is the people whose hero has been dashed, and they don't want to say they waste.
It's a sunk cost, and they can't admit,
and it sucks.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just say, look, I have seen some of the guy's content. I have seen clips. He's a performer. He puts on a good fucking show, and some of the stuff he says in character. I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt because some of the stuff he says and does in character honestly reminds me of a lot of the stuff we do in character where we're like, we're going to play a shithead. We're going to do Sunday service. We're going to say some real fucking over the top things with the understanding that we're playing a character. But at the end of the stream, when we turn that off, that's not what we do. That's not what we say. That's not how we act. Right?
We hide it very well.
Right.
We don't use Twitch whispers.
Well. No, so that's the thing is that it's a character and we turn it off. And the more I hear about Dr. Disrespect and the more I see that he has blurred that line, like the bathroom bit was a blurring of that line where I was like, I know you're in character right now, but that's too far, buddy. And then the shit he's doing completely out of character, it's like, nah, man, you're done. You're done.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good a performer you are. You're doing some real scummy stuff and taking advantage of the situation.
Yeah. And it's gross. Ugh.
Yeah. Hey, it's not gross? Something I discovered on Twitter today.
Are we supposed to click on this? I haven't clicked on it yet.
You can click on it. Guys, it's called llama.ttf. It's a font file, which is also a large language model and an inference engine for that model. It's basically somebody created a font that you can use in pretty much any program that uses fonts. And in that font is embedded a large language model like OpenAI or ChatGPT, so that in any program where you're using that font, you can then actively use AI to generate content. And it's pretty fucking wild. It's crazy. Like the guy gives a demonstration. He's in Notepad and he's typing normally. And then you can type like 10 exclamation points to turn on the AI prompting, or it has like, you could build in certain censoring. So like there's certain words where he'll type them out and then it'll autocorrect, and it's all running within the font, and it's calling a specific LLM server that he has running locally, but you could theoretically have running anywhere. It's pretty fucking weird.
What is it?
I don't like it.
Where does it pull the references from his server? Or can you feed it your own stuff?
So you can, it's all within, so it's a font file. So you install the font file like you would any other font, and you can run it in any program that will read the font, but also not have extensive security protections that will not allow it to make a web call, which it turns out there's a lot of programs it'll work fine in. So essentially, as the font is running, it's also running a background script that is then reaching out to a server. And in this example, he has an LLM server endpoint running on its local machine, but you could theoretically point it anywhere. And then you could have that large language model trained off of anything. So you could train it off your own emails. You could train it off of fairy tales, etc. That's where the copyright infringement could potentially come in. You could also have it completely on open source content, which would remove any of that ethical, legal dilemma. But it's just the wild idea of, hey, we just have a font, and if you happen to pick this font in whatever program you're in, it will generate content for you.
That's
it's fucking great. That's really cool.
My first thought with every AI thing all the time is Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm just like, oh, if I could just have this language model run off the notes for my D&D world, and then just like be like, oh, totally I would like, I want to generate this town. quickly and all these characters, and then I can go in and tweak things, write character dialogue if I need to, or even like if during a session you are talking to an NPC, I can just have it respond to you based on the knowledge of that NPC. Would be a fun thing. Like, and that's the point. Like,
that's a really fucking good example. Hey, turn the fucking stream off. We gotta monetize this right now. We got a seed fund coming up.
That's actually a pretty good idea. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, that you build like a bare bones DM notes. You feed it into the system. The system then uses open source and public domain content to build the rest of it.
Yeah, and you can feed it the D&D books.
Yeah, and as it's running, you ask it questions like, oh shit, what's the HP of Gorgon the third? And it says 27.
Right.
Or like you said, you do the live conversations. So you're just typing in what the characters are saying, and then it'll role play back as the DM character.
Yeah,
that's really fucking good, Will. That's good.
And I only think of that because, like, I think another great application of AI is like, hey, what is this? Like, this is the situation we're in right now. What is the rule governing this? And it can tell you because it references all the D&D books. Like,
it's parsed the books and can quick reference. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I see AI being a good thing. It's like Jake is worried about all the time, and I am too. It's the art. It's the creation of art that is the sort of the side. Yeah. It's the creation of art and people claiming it is art, I should say. And it's their art.
For me, I'm less stringent on it. For me, it's all about, I know how these models work, right? They feed and train on a shitload of content, and then they will slice and dice that and spit that back out, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, my constant worry is, what have you trained this model on? If you've trained it on any sort of copyright or licensing questionable or ambiguous content, that means anything it spits out is suspect. That means anything you spit out, I can't use because somebody could come after me and say, oh shit, that's trained off of my work over here and I can see that clearly, etc. That's a problem. But if somebody gave me an LLM or an image generator and they could 100% with certainty say, we only train this on open source, we only train this on public domain, we only train this on content that we have the copyrights to and the copyrights to use for AI training, then I would be like, fuck yes, I'm going to use the shit out of this because it's going to be very, very helpful in a lot of cases. And I don't have to worry about the legality or ethicality of it. Yeah. And that's kind of I would say that doesn't put me on the fence. That puts me on the slightly pro AI fence. But again, it all comes down to what the fuck did you train your model on? And can you justifiably say that it's okay for me to use? Can you actually say that?
Yeah. Jake, hit us with the 1984.
It's as George Orwell says, and even technological progress only happens when its products can in some way be used for the diminution of human liberty. The fields are cultivated with horseplows, while books are written by machinery.
Listen,
I
ain't reading a book by a machine.
I think that argument's bullshit, and here's why. Because if you want to take that all the way down, then fuck Photoshop, right? How fucking dare you draw a circle with a computer? How fucking dare you, right? But at the end of the day, everybody knows what a circle looks like. You can quantify a circle. You can train a computer how to draw a circle. So if I can use a computer to draw circles instead of having to draw it by hand, yeah, great. Go ahead, take the easy shit out of it, so then I can make more complicated and complex.
Yeah, it's the idea. I much rather want the computer to do arduous menial tasks so that I can spend the time focusing on the art stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I think
the computer plow the fields.
Like, I think that is like the big thing, and I think, and again, it's always back to D&D. But like, I want to sit down and be like, this is what my campaign's going to be like. This is the cool twist I want to do. This is all this stuff, and then like, oh, help me organize my thoughts into a D&D campaign, like do the annoying stuff of creating 50 bar patrons, of creating the menu for the bar, like all that sort of stuff. And then it's not even that I don't want to do that stuff, but then I could be like, you know what, I want to create a fun drink at this bar, so I'm going to throw that out and do something. So like all that.
Yeah, it's like, I'll give you a concrete example. I probably spent 2 to 3 hours this week making the thumbnail for Back to New Vegas because I had to bring some images in, I had to drastically alter them, I had to do a bunch of tweaking and shit to make it work, to make it good enough, right? If I could go to an AI and I could say, "Hey, here's what I want you to do," and it does that for me, and then I just have to do minor tweaks, or even better, I just tell it, "Hey, I want my image on the left, I want the New Vegas sign, but I want it to say Back to New Vegas and not Welcome to Fabulous New Vegas, etc." And it could fucking spit that out. At the end of the day, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Right?
It's all use case, I think, and it's to your abilities.
Yeah.
And if you want to do that for your stuff, I think that's perfectly fine. If you want to hire an artist to make it for you, that's also perfectly fine.
Yeah. It's all use case and fair use.
Yeah. We should be paying these robots to do the work for us.
Yes.
My hit, The Hollow Suns, written by AI, will be out next week. I'm really excited for all of you to read it. It's very good.
Sorry, just picture the cover of The Hollow Suns is just a close-up of like low-cut blouse with cleavage.
Yes. Oh, 1000%. And it's and then there's two boy twins, and it shows that they don't have any brains because they're the two sons. And they're both
S-O-N.
They're both
I see.
drinking milk from both of the
That's pretty
sons. And then there's a wolf.
Jesus Christ.
howling.
Anyways, that's the end of the news. Let's fucking cut this and run.
Yeah, let's get the fuck out of here. Speaking of getting the fuck out of here, we have no wish to spotlight. Thank God. Indie games, replace them with AI. That's all.
They're done.
They're done. They're over, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. On this great Wednesday. Hey, if you're not doing anything tomorrow, tune in at 9 p.m. for the comedy special on CNN. It'll be headlined by Joe Biden and Donald Trump. It'll be very funny. I heard there's going to be a tight five, and they don't mean Joe Biden. We will be back next week. With tight five. Shut up. We'll be back next week, Tuesday, with more Fire Emblem. I think Tuesday or Wednesday, and then of course Ian doing his New Vegas stuff Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Guess I won't be doing unemployment enjoyment. Actually, I can still do that. We'll be back with all that sort of stuff next week. Jake Terrio, Ian Gibson, Will Crosby, subpixelfilms.com, bring you straight to our delicious content. Join the community Discord and talk to us. It's fun. We don't bite. Okay, bye.
Bye.